Hello, I'm Wayward, and this is Command & Conquer Remastered, looking at a 1 versus 1 between Strelok as our yellow Nod player at the top center of Tournament Desert. This is a very Nod-favored map, so possibly going to see Strelok pull this one out, but at the bottom center we have Danku as our blue GDI player. So this map is just super open. There's a lot of surface area for the GDI to defend. Makes it very, 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 very hard for a GDI player to win against the very mobile Nod, but it's not completely out of the picture, and Danku is a very good player, so looking forward to seeing what he is able to do even if he loses. Both players getting a really, really good spread. Strelok going for a defensive line of flame troopers with a single minigunner sneaking down the side. Let's see if Danku, so they pass by each other without being noticed. Danku, trying to get the scout in, really wants to see what Strelok is doing. Strelok with 3 refineries right off the bat, matched by Danku's 3, so both players playing very defensively. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of the silo is, since there's just a big old line of Tiberium here. Maybe just a little more spacing between the refineries, possibly, just to cover that larger surface area. Actually, Danku has a Grenadier in Strelok's base and being annoying by doing some damage to the Conyard. One more throw in there before Strelok takes out the Grenadier. Strelok now with his airstrip out. That is, of course, where things start to get bad for the GDI player. Danku with a second barracks and now 4 refineries. So there is kind of one problem with both what Strelok and Danku are doing. They're kind of both sacrificing long-term income potential. So Danku is going to need to cover a large area to be able to get to this left side patch of Tiberium, and Strelok with the airfield is kind of inching his way that way a little more than his opponent. Interesting, Strelok going for light tanks. Not something you see too often, since bikes and buggies are faster and less expensive, easier to replace. Doubling down on that, getting a second airfield, it would not surprise me, looking at what Strelok is doing, if I see a Conyard sell-off, just to try to pull out that win. He's basically bankrupting himself right now, producing medium tanks. It wouldn't surprise me to see him lock in with this and try to just get the win. Now, there's a 4th refinery, and again, he's got it on this side, so he's eventually going to run out of resources, and it's going to be difficult, somewhat difficult for him to be able to... see? I called it. Ha! Ha! I was able to accurately predict what the player was going to do for once. More light tanks coming out. Looks like this engineer is going to try to be sneaky and steal something from Danku. Danku, meanwhile, I'm not sure. He's got double war factories out and pulls out his own sell-off for basically the same purpose. That engineer, yeah, the engineer's going to try to steal something. Let's see. Danku does not actually have the best vision on the side of his base, trying to sneak in a bunch of Grenadiers. Let's see. Strelok doesn't see it. He doesn't see the whole attack. Oh, let's see. This would be phenomenal. That is a lot of Grenadiers. Oh, but the Harvester comes out just in time. I heard one crush, there's a couple crushes. So, gonna get that refinery for sure. Might get this one too with the Harvester still in it. It looks like Strelok panicked pulling his Harvester out. Nope. Thought he was going to try. Oh, he loses it. And the Harvester doesn't even get a kill. Those Grenadiers are going to go down, but ouch. So Strelok with very few resources and a large light tank ball, crushing a lot of those Grenadiers really efficiently. But there are a lot of medium tanks out as well, and that pretty high production is going to play in Danku's favor. Danku with a really nasty snipe on his opponent. This is actually, thinking about this, this is probably not the best play for this map. Strelok could have done a lot better with even bikes because they're so much faster, and they would force Danku to constantly play out of a favorable position. But this is kind of playing to the GDI's strengths. Now, I might have missed something, because there's a gap here. I wonder if that engineer tried to do something sneaky and I missed it. Strelok still with a very large ball of light tanks, though. And that's going to be hard for this smaller army of medium tanks to contend with. Oh, actually got rocket troopers in the mix there. So that's kind of fun to see. Looks like Strelok is kind of getting the better of this, but it's not going to be by much if he does. We still have 4 medium tanks. It looks like 6 light tanks. Light tanks are definitely winning, but Strelok, or Danku, is doing tolerably well. Going to be able to pull in some more firepower where Strelok is in danger. He's reached the end of the line basically in terms of his resources. He's only got 2 active refineries and another. It's like minigunners mostly, but we have some. No, what are you doing? Where is he going with this? He's gonna try to snipe another refinery. Actually, let's see how this plays out. Trying to make some micro happen. Actually doing a reasonable job. Grenadiers with a decent damage per hit is gonna get the refinery. Yes! Hero minigunner does the job right before he implodes. Decent number of tanks coming out actually with a war factory sell-off. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the rocket troopers. I assume it's a DPS thing, but I'm not entirely sure. So Danku is definitely in the better position right now. We'll have to see how this battle goes, though, because this is going to be kind of a pivotal fight. There are a lot of medium tanks. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 medium tanks, it looks like. Trying to get an angle is what I assume is happening here. Trying to come around, maybe snipe the war factory. A lot of this is going to come down to who's able to accurately micro and stop their units. So you do get micro battles in Command & Conquer Remaster. They're just not exactly what you'd expect coming from other RTS. Some of the units not involved, and the tanks actually managed to kind of sneak by Danku's tank force. We do have more medium tanks coming out. This harass is not going to do much besides distract. Forces the sell-off. That's actually really bad for Danku. He is out of tanks. And Strelok is not, although he's basically out of resources. And Danku still does have 2 barracks able to produce just an endless stream. Looks like he's going for a mix. He's got Grenadiers and minigunners and actually a couple of rocket troopers. So this is not looking great for Strelok. Actually, might want to sell off one of these airfields to fund more unit production, because right now he's struggling for every tank he's able to get. Now we're basically in the inverse of what happened before. That tank does get sniped, unfortunately. Danku getting a good concave, actually, on Strelok's forces. The crush is not as effective as you would hope. Nice micro by Danku, keeping those infantry alive to support the DPS. And looking really dismal for Strelok, actually, as Danku is able to out-micro that army with his infantry, losing a couple here and there, but still not quite what you want. And the medium tanks, of course, are better pound for pound than the light tanks. Loses his last income, and there's the sell-off by Strelok. Wow. Now, again, I said this earlier, but I really think what happened here, to me, is Strelok was kind of giving up his advantage, the maneuverability advantage. Could have easily gone for bikes, which trade off pretty well with the medium tank, actually. But his attempt to go for tanks means that infantry are less useful for the GDI, although you saw with Danku was able to kind of micro around that, given the low tank numbers at the end of the game. But you get the crush, but you lose a lot of the mobility, and Danku kind of played to that by harassing Strelok very effectively several times with Grenadiers. And since Strelok had more resources consolidated in a smaller area, since the tanks are more expensive than the bikes and buggies would be, he was less able to react to that in the way that a non-player would be used to. So it felt more like a GDI versus GDI match, only with Strelok working with less effective vehicles. Not that the light tank is bad, it just doesn't quite stand up pound to pound for the medium tank. Maybe if Strelok had diversified more and gone with some tanks and some bikes, or I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the better play would have been besides leaving tanks out entirely and just going for buggies if you wanted that really kind of mobile anti-vehicle power. But anyway, this has been Wayward Strategy, and this has been another Command & Conquer Remastered cast. Thanks for watching.